that? Hey, we got anybody online for public input?
We have two people online.
No, I was just curious.
Oh, sorry.
Make
Something to go.
a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of October 19th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion, we approve non-public meeting minutes number 1, 2, 3, and 4 of October 19th, 2022.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Public input. Hi, Jane.
I thought we were going to adjourn.
Oh, motion to, no, I can't make that motion. Do we have anybody online?
So we do have,
I heard Slan on the radio this morning. That
That
was,
was Greg.
he did well.
Good. Thank you. Congratulations. A nice chat. Anyone else?
Joan or Steve, anything at this point, or? I think you're muted, Joan, if you're talking. We're gonna take that. Oh,
Sorry, I was flipping screens. No, I'm waiting for Jane.
okay, thanks. With that,
All
Jane.
right, Jane's up.
Okay. Well, I just, is what I should talk to this lesson. So I just talked with you. And for years now, I've heard, what do you want to do with the Grange? And I have a question for you. What do you want to do with the Grange? Tell me. Nobody's ever told me. What are your thoughts about the Grange?
Like to move it away from the road. Other than that, I'm open.
You like to what?
Move it away from the road. It's too close to the road. And I'd like to get it on a single ground level, easy access for ADA before we do anything with it. From what I've been told with regard to the cost to cure, I think I don't think the voters, I don't know if the voters would be support, or the citizens would be supportive of the cost to renovate the building. So given that and the fact that I really can't think of a use at this point for the town, depending upon what we do with town hall, I would be supportive of repurposing the building.
You would be supportive of what?
Repurposing the building, skinning
Okay.
it, selling the timbers off.
Based on what happens with the town hall. You said, right?
Well, in terms of space needs, we need a fire station, maybe two. And we're going to learn today or tonight about reducing the available space in town hall. So basically town hall will become strictly an office building. And it just depends upon how that fleshes out, whether we have enough space in town hall. We know that the school district is going to be proposing the changes that they have in store, which could potentially bring two buildings or more, one anyway, back into the town for usage. So I think all of those have to be taken into consideration. I think the lot, it makes it very problematic to utilize the building as it is from, as Sly mentioned, moving it back. But then where do you put the leach field? Unless it goes under the, well, I guess would be pavement for parking. So I just don't know that the town has the appetite to invest the money to restore the building without having an idea of what we would use it for.
Well, okay, Ken?
Well, so as said before, the building could be repurposed as an annex to town hall, but there are a lot of questions, as Bill has said, as to what's going to happen with the town hall, the existing town hall. So, you know, Sly's got a good suggestion about moving it back. I don't think we've really explored that to any great deal. So there are still a lot of questions that have to be answered.
Okay, I agree. There are a lot of questions that do have to be answered, but in the meantime, building out the new school is not going to happen overnight. Being realistic, I don't think that's going to happen in the next year or two to that extent. And I think the space would be wonderful for the town hall. I know if I worked in town hall, I'd much rather have my office or my town clerk and taxpayer or planning use board over in an annex across the street, as opposed to being in the basement where the fire trucks have been all these years, and a basement office is not ideal. That's been on my mind. Then, when I read the agenda for tonight, I noticed that Joe Smith has resigned as chair of the town advisory committee, and that the town more or less has considered just dissolving, disbanding the committee because they didn't have regular meetings. They didn't set any goals or meet any goals, which was the purpose of the town advisory committee. And in that paragraph on the agenda, I believe it says that there was the coordination that was expected with SBS never happened, but we on SBS felt that the town advisory committee was on its own and they really did not communicate with us. Actually, we were even told by a couple of them, one of them has not been back to a meeting of SBS since she became a member of the town advisory committee, because I don't think they understood the right to know law and they thought they couldn't talk with us at all anymore. So I would like to ask you tonight to please give us at least a month to 6 weeks to get a town advisory Grange committee back on its feet, and don't disband it right away. Because while we wait to see if these things happen in the future, we need to use some of the money that has been put aside for the Grange and build on that fund to fix the weatherboarding and work on the foundation. Get something done so we can be in and out of the building and get some paint on it so it doesn't just rot. It's turning into an eyesore, and we don't need that in Swansea Center. What we need is to preserve the beauty of Swansea. I know why I live here. I live here because my husband's family on his fraternal side grew up in Swansea and they loved it. And when we had a noisy child under the age of 1 who would never sleep, we used to throw her in the car, in a car bed at the time, and drive her around to get her to sleep. And we almost always wind up driving down from Keene to Swansea and around and back. And we decided we wanted to live in Swansea because it was home and it was beautiful. And it had that center over there with the town hall and the Grange, the church, Carpenter home, buildings, and the beautiful cemetery. And so if we don't care about those things and we start tearing them down and letting them go, we're getting rid of our town. And those of us who have loved it and those who have moved here because they like it. There was a woman at the 30th anniversary 2 weeks ago with her camera, and I said, wow, nice camera. And she said, yes, we got this when the pandemic came out and we started walking and saw so many things we wanted to take pictures of. And she's researching her genealogy and some of her families from Swansea. And she sent me pictures that she took that day. And she said, what a beautiful place. What a beautiful place to live. And I agree that if we don't work to keep it, it won't be that place anymore. And that's why I stay with this. So I'm asking that you not disband the committee right away, please. And let us build an advisory committee that will meet and will have goals and will try to communicate and accomplish something.
I don't know that that was even going to be discussed tonight, to be honest with you.
What did you say?
I don't know
That
that,
would be done?
yeah, I don't know that that was going to be discussed, but we were in a similar situation with Whitcomb Hall 5 or 6 years ago. And I believe we had replaced the windows. I believe we had, and we were kind of stuck. And so ultimately what happened was we made the decision to change the committee and bring in other people that would be more capable from a construction standpoint. And fortunately, Pete Johnson and Kenny and Sharon and John Trainer and the others that got involved did get involved. And they took a proactive approach. And they restored the building realistically. And that's,
All of them.
no, I understand that, but it took a lot of effort to get there that they put in. And it was the composition of the committee that I think made it happen, along with it coincided with Michael coming in and his experience with the L-chip grants and all of that, so that we were able to secure a substantial L-chip grant, which helped propel things forward. At this point, it seems to me that part of the reason that we were supportive of the $30,000 contribution last year was because that was going to help with the seeking of outside grant money that the grantors would see that the town was invested, that so we just need to get it to a point, Jane, that the treading water stops and there's a group of people that are. This isn't saying about the people that have been involved. It's just they haven't had the capability to do what the committee at Whitcomb Hall did, and that's really what we need.
Money. We have to get out and root for money. I don't have the money at my fingertips that the people you just mentioned have.
I haven't
that makes
seen-
a big difference.
Yeah, and
But-
I haven't seen a breakout as to how that money was spent. I know a lot of it was labor intensive, that they invested their time doing it, but they secured a tremendous. Michael could probably, if he doesn't know it off the top of his head, be able to give you a list of all the grants that they secured over the course of that process. And it just seems to me that's what we need to have happen. $1 million to restore that building does not seem to me to be a project that the town taxpayers are going to want to take on.
I don't think it's going to cost you $1 million either, because to restore the Grange, you are not looking at restoring it to the condition of Whitcomb Hall. You're looking to restore it to the original condition of the Grange, which was quite simple and modest and common. The Grange is not supposed to have beautiful ceilings and light fixtures and glistening floors. It's just a rudimentary, accessible place for people to get together for a common meeting. And one thing that has been mentioned to us is having like a winter exchange of food, or like similar to a farmer's market, but you can't really call it a farmer's market. And I know when I was in the House of Representatives, we worked on things like that for people who had products to dispense and to offer to the public, didn't have a place, or they lived like where Mike does, and the passerby wouldn't see his sign that he had cheese or butter or anything, jam or anything to sell. You could have a corner of that building accessing people like that, serving needs that are. Actually, I asked someone at Old Home Day if she would be interested in that, and she definitely would. She doesn't live in Swansea, but she has homemade products that she would love to have a place to bring them in the winter and offer them for sale. Then another thing is, I think Bert's Pantry, is it closed now?
Yes,
Hmm?
yes.
Yeah. we could have something like that there in the middle too. Or maybe it could be set up there. We've had people from theater productions ask us if we were getting it ready so they could use it for their theater productions. And I've had different clubs ask if the Grange is usable. But when we're told we can't have over a certain number of people in it, and it doesn't have facilities, then of course we can't. But those are things that it could be used for. Mount Cedar School doesn't have room to have a school, an all-school thing. They don't even have enough room to have grades 1 through 3 in one place. They'd have to sit against each other on the floor, and I know because I've been there, and it's not fun. And for any program, any presentation, and they had mentioned that they would walk the kids over there for things because the high school is not always available when it comes to stadium and having an audience.
But whether you want it fancy or not, Wickham Hall started with a septic, started with a foundation, started with a
I
roof,
know.
bathrooms.
I mean, so that's where I'm kind of going, like, if I might. So. I'm staring at my house here. So when the committee was still alive, I would go to their meetings and talk to them, do a couple of meetings they did have. And I created a spreadsheet to show them the difference between the Grange and the Vermont, because everybody wants to keep comparing them.
Oh, you mean the advisory committee?
Yeah. So the estimate that I had, it certainly hasn't gone down in cost any. At that time was, the Grange was $500,000 behind where Wickham Hall started. $500,000 behind. And that's not fancy. That's foundation, it's septic, it's well, it's a roof, it's structure, it's windows. So it was, so just to get to the starting point was $500,000 in my estimation. Tonight I'm gonna talk about some stuff we're doing. We're gonna try to make a couple offices in town hall, maybe just where that big meeting area is. The materials for that project right now are $17,000, and that's no labor.
Well, I understand that, yeah.
So I mean, I know I said I wouldn't do this. But if the selectmen let them go for another 6 weeks, I'd be happy to sit during a couple of meetings and try to work out some of the actual numbers of this, including moving it and the rest, and try to at least suss out what the road ahead would look like financially from a reasonable perspective. Not fancy. So it's gonna cost a lot.
Of course. And the longer it stands there with nothing.
Right, but $1 million is a real number. It's real.
For not
Honest to God, it is. I wish it wasn't. Trust me, I really wish it wasn't. That's that. Well, I may work with you if you want, if they want, if you don't want.
I don't personally see any reason to even adjust the committee except to find new members through town meeting or through the vote in March. I don't think anything is really pressing if you have the ability to put real numbers to it. You're looking at $200 a foot or better, and you're talking two different things. You're talking about finish for students and town offices, and you're talking about a farmer's market. So, but either way, well, just in terms of local products and all that. So, but either way, the sprinkler system alone is going to be 100,000, if not more, for the cisterns, the pump, and all of that. So, $1 million goes pretty quick, unfortunately.
Well, then getting back to my original question. If because of finances, you feel that the building should be demolished, then what do you see in that lot?
Maybe a farmer's market.
Year round, outdoors? No, I mean, how do you
Pull the
see the
vehicles
town
in,
using
park
that
outside.
property? I want an honest answer. All I'm asking.
A little small for any other building, I think, but. I don't know.
But
It's a little small for any other building, the footprint. You know. And then we'd have to factor in water, sewer. You know,
yeah. no, I
Septic.
understand.
but to your point, the taxpayers are just like the people that give grants. They're not gonna give it for a building that's not ADA. They're not gonna give it for a building that doesn't have all the code provisions, you know. If you get over 50 people, you gotta have egress, you gotta have everything. So. it's tough, you know, I mean, if even if a benefactor comes forward and wants to restore it just the way it is, right where it is. And not, you know, just make it solid and weather tight and beautiful paint white and done. We probably couldn't do anything in there with over 50 people. Because of the code, right? And
That's a fact.
you get into occupancy and
Occupancy,
Because what?
because
Well,
what?
you'd have to firm up the underpinning.
No.
I'm saying that somebody did all that.
Yeah,
Just the
yeah,
structure of the
it's
building.
not a structural thing, it's sprinkler layout,
Oh.
yeah, it's a use thing. Like I said, I'd be happy to sit down with the committee, go through the books and show you, I grew up in the Grange. Riverton Grange, Barcanston, Connecticut, it's still there, it's still doing great. It's one of maybe 6. Let's be real. And I will sit with the books, and I'll show you what we have to go through and what the deal is, but but when you think about what we did in this building, it's miraculous in so many ways, and in so many other ways, it's not so much. Because so much of it was already here. And it still costs $1 million,
I came here to something
you know?
and I thought I never had to go to anything else.
Yeah, this was.
It was awful.
Yeah, when I got hired here, I wasn't even here a full week. And Chet brought me into this building, and I thought, this is incredible. What was already there before they even started. I said, you want to give this to Dalston, I'll take it, in its current form. And I love the Grange, like I said, Future Farmers America, FFA, you name it, I did it. So got
Well,
the ribbons.
anyway, that's why I wanted to ask you basically, was if you will not dissolve the committee right away, since you gave it a 2-year extension not too long ago, I guess. Will you let that extension play out if we can get people together for committee membership?
Consensus.
I
Yeah,
mean, you don't.
we, no, we want to be supportive to come to a conclusion, whatever that conclusion turns out to be. And I think that what Michael's offered to provide the committee and any new members you bring in and the comments that Sly made, give some real perspective on it. It doesn't make a whole lot of difference. Got to insulate, you got to have egress, got to have sprinklers, septic, it's all there. So. All right. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. So who's going to contact whom so that we,
They're gonna contact me when they're ready.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'll have the first meeting here, and we do this entire project with the plans and everything. So that we can kind of put it in perspective. The difference in what we're trying to accomplish, as we might go.
Okay, thanks for hearing us.
appreciate you coming in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is a resignation of Joe Smith. Well, I believe he resigned from the committee in total, not simply as chair.
That's correct. That's my understanding.
I'll make that motion to accept
Thanks, Eileen.
With regret.
with regret the resignation of Joe Smith. from the
Okay,
Golden
put a lot
Army.
in, we put a lot of effort into
Yeah,
it.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town hall improvements. Michael.
And the same this real quick here.
Phase 2.
Sketch. This is all the plan. Basic idea. The reference, right? I go.
You've got to reflect that in words in the minutes, by the way. So
Any splits are right up there, I think.
Get it.
All right, so what you're looking at, of course, is the price breakdown. I did it, I broke it right down so you can kind of see how it all added up because, it surprises me mean, nowadays it's extra surprising. The prices always surprise me when I would estimate it. It always ends up more than I thought it would. This is no exception. So you recognize the area here is where currently where the tax maps are, the public tax computer, which is generally just used by our assessor, and then the big meeting table. And that area would be eliminated and taken over by these two spaces. And what you got there is you got a phase one, phase two thing. So you can see phase one is basically two spaces. Phase three allows for two more offices or one more office to be created. A utility space is what I'm calling it right now, and I've incorporated a stair that will bring you on the top of the area created for a light meeting room, I would call it. I'm pretty confident I got enough space. I had a big ladder in there the other day. I'll do some more measurements in other portions of the building because things are off a little bit, but it looks like I can sneak in a second story loft area there by using the original ceiling in town hall sometime in the future, which is roughly 4 feet above the gut ceiling now. It's beautiful, actually. So that would allow us to have, it'd be more in-house stuff. It would be, maybe meeting with a builder or two homeowners, or other things, looking at plans, working on plans. It wouldn't be a meeting space for all the time, especially because it is stairs. They would be compliant, but they are still stairs.
So the removal of the existing ceiling going to the original would just be this area.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to figure out how exactly I do it. I would probably want to pull it back higher two in all directions, and then so you could have potential just a rail system that could be open, or it could be walls, it could be any number of things. But yeah, just in that area is what I'm thinking about now. That I'm assuming it's done to try to help alleviate some of the heating and cooling costs of that space. We could also put in verticals for that area only, and something a lighter weight to help promote energy and some energy efficiency to the whole thing. But and again, that's phase two. It was just, if this project goes through as phase one, the first thing everybody's gonna do when they go into those offices is go in, the ceilings are low. Yeah, they are, that's why. And it was designed intentionally so that we could make use of that space at full height in the future if we ever wanted to. Michael and I first talked about this, my first and foremost goal was to try to A, fit with one of the plans that we had Katie do, and B, make sure that whatever we did could be brought forward. It wouldn't have to come back down and start from scratch. I wanted to make sure that it would be useful for as long as we would reasonably expect it to be useful, which for the rest of the building has been better number of years. So
What's the floor to ceiling height to the original ceiling?
the first floor is, I've got it designed to be 7 feet exactly, give or take, and then the second floor would be a whole lot different, maybe 7'1", 7 foot half inch, and then there is a drop beam about 4 inches or so. I can't tell if that's faux or if it's trying to gussy up the larger trusses. If it's faux, we consider just removing it. They're both going to be low. They're not. It's not spacious areas. Normally you think mezzanine, you think something really grand. It's not grand, but it's it's practical.
I have a question. It's very confusing. In phase one, where is the tax?
It's not on it's over this way.
Yeah, the tax office, the tax portal. That computer is in the main hall area.
It's out here, you say. In phase one,
You are.
I know where I am. This is the front door.
Yep.
So where's the tax? It used to be here.
Just the computer. It's not a tax.
But the tax office is over.
The tax office right here.
Yeah, it's not clerk, it's in your hand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. It just went off the paper.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
I
no,
was
no.
so confused. But
Yeah. No.
I see.
So we talked a little bit about maybe doing AC once and for all and getting that done with mini splits. I think we could. I don't know enough about them to spec for myself. And send that out to RFP and then have everybody kind of bid it on their own, creating their own spec. I mean, really, it's want everything covered and we want it for the least price. I think we can do it with what I do know about it, I think we can do it with, 3 separate units. Placed strategically to cut down on the visual impact of those, which is generally not great. But it is a weight building, and we do have a weight covering, so hopefully they can do it pretty nice. And then be done with that. And then even though electricity right now is berserk, stupid expensive, I have no reason for it to go down. But, you know, perhaps someday if we did invest in solar, then we could take advantage of that. We could use it for a little bit of heat on the solar seasons versus the oil or something like that in the future. So again, trying to think as far ahead as would be reasonably for the life of that unit, which I would expect to be 15 years, I would hope, 10 to 15. So, but that would be a separate RFP. I just see that number in there, just basically talking to different people. But the number on mini splits seems a little odd to me. It seems like they're running. I was talking to Michael Kidd, it's kind of like propane. It's like one guy sells propane for twice as much. Someone, I don't know how that works. And mini splits are the same, but the variety of costs seems to be pretty wild on those things. So I'd be curious to see what we got back in RFPs, especially this time of year.
How many heads?
I'm thinking 7 and with 3 units. But we'll see. We'll see. Basically one in every room, say that or
Likes it warm.
he likes it.
Can the floor take this addition?
I think, you know, that's a great question. I think considering what we do to it pretty routinely anyway, I think I really do believe it can. I don't think it's gonna be that much weight and hopefully it'll be a fairly uniform load. I don't think it'll be bad. And everything I'm gonna do as light as humanly possible. You know, I got 2x6 studs. I'm probably actually gonna go 2x4, not 16, but 2 foot on center. The floor joists above it are 2x6 because dimension they have to be. They also work from a code perspective. 5/8 on the floor versus anything thicker than that, but they're a foot on center, so I don't need any more than 5/8. And then whatever would go upstairs on the finish, if we did a finish, which there's no real mandate to do that, would be the thinnest, lightest weight thing we could put up there. Clip flooring or something silly like that. If we did go upstairs, we would just use this type of a table with light furniture. It's not, doesn't have to be, we're not impressing anybody up there. But it's just an extra workspace where you can spread out and get quiet. That's the trick in our town hall is to be able to find some level of quiet.
And could this stairwell encapsulate, if we ever get the fire department out of the basement, going downstairs? You know, could it work into that?
No, I
You might have to take up that office, but
yeah, I mean, we would probably just work at a whole different stair in a whole different place. When we were working in King State, there was a young lady, Grace Winville, I'm gonna watch Grace because she's gonna do great things. She came up with a couple of stair ideas that I never would have done. When I first looked at it, I thought she was nuts. And then when I gave her the time she deserved, it was really brilliant ideas. So we probably go back to some of her ideas and some of the different things she had to help incorporate the first and second floor. But that's so far away right now. I'm looking to the future, but I'm still trying to meet what today, what we need today. And you know, we already have the annex, and we're just talking about the annex in 120 Pine. We're working with Mount Caesar Library, and I'm reaching out to a couple of local moving companies to come up with prices to move the display cases that are in there now. They're very heavy, very miserable to move. They were brought in there by a moving company as a favor to the Mount Caesar Library. We've worked with them. They've now decided that they're going to sell them because I really need the extra space in there. And we want to get that moving company number because it's going to be a number. It's going to be a question people are going to have when they're bidding on them. And I want to be able to have someone to refer them to so that they can figure out what the total cost purchasing these is really going to be wherever they are. Because we're going to mandate they be moved by a moving company, which is short because I don't want a bunch of good trucks trying to move these things, you know, pickup trucks on the weekend. It's just, they're too dangerous to do that. So we'll get that in the municipal as soon as we can get them out. And once they're out of there, we can really gussy up 125 from a function perspective, and it'll work a lot better for us.
Need some love.
We got a lot of people who go over there to get boxes and things like that, and some of them, you know, maybe aren't as physically capable of things like that, so we really got to set up smarter than it is right now.
Can I ask a question? The trustees of trust funds were looking for the original documents, the request, the wills, that had been stored in the safe in the office where the tax, not tax collector, but the other office, town council. They're not there anymore. There's a book that has copies, but the trustees really need to have the originals. Do
Right.
you have any? They have no idea where they are.
We've been looking feverishly, and I think the other day we found it, didn't realize we found it, and then started maybe putting them back in the original files.
You have found them.
I don't know that. I'm waiting for Mr. Moore to come in to see that we found them. We found a box of documents like that, and nobody could understand why they were in the town clerk's office. So my imagining is if they are them, I could picture Richard maybe being after a meeting or something, going in there, setting it up on the filing cabinet, doing a little bit of work, and then forgetting he set it up on the filing cabinet. Because while we're trying to, because I'm always kind of Nazi-like about trying to get stuff out of the office and keep it as neat as we can. We found this box, and I was like, oh, what is, oh, what is, we know what it is, we know what it is, like,
But I just suggest you contact
yeah,
Richard Scarabelli.
We have.
If you can find them.
yeah,
I'm sorry. to interrupt you, but
yeah, no, he's, I've been looking for him too.
Would the trustees want to keep them together in the box and not put in the individual
They
files?
just want to know where they are so they can
Yeah.
access them.
And this time, this box doesn't have a label?
They were in an accordion thing before, you know,
Okay.
one of those
Yeah,
things.
so it's still not, might not be, it's still, this may be its own mystery box, but I have these stuff, so I'm gonna look at it, I'm hoping we found it.
I don't mean to take a lot of time.
No, I know, it's been on their mind, it's been on mine too, so I just can't imagine something's missing.
You
like
were
that.
talking about storage and that's.
I hear you, yeah, no, Richard and I actually went to 125 together to look for it.
So what are you looking for from us tonight?
Well, I mean, if you want to spend that money, then, you know, we'll get going on it. Right now, the only thing that has labor is the electrical and the IT work. I'm thinking that between myself and DPW, probably mostly myself, I can get that thing built anyway, at night and on weekends, and then, we can move on.
That's very generous of you, but
Well,
you have a life.
very kind of me, I mean, that.
So this, if I understood you correctly, this is phase one? Or is this?
Phase two would be the stairs.
So, yeah, I just wanted to show you that, I wanted to demonstrate that what the thought process was behind this. We may never do phase two or whatever, but again, you guys are gonna come in and you're gonna see it and it's gonna look weird. There's a purpose behind this weirdness, and that's the purpose.
So why wouldn't we just do it?
I don't know, I mean, I didn't figure that, it's gonna be more money. But
It's gonna look a little strange to have a 7-foot ceiling
yeah,
in a room that's got 10-foot ceilings.
it is.
And it's gonna beg the question, it's gonna be a pain in the neck to try to take that ceiling down. If you don't do it all at once.
No, I'm gonna build it so that that's not, I'm gonna really try hard to build it so that is not the case. We're gonna set the lights up so that they don't have to be. I've thought about how to do that so that that's not the case. So later on, we could do it with relative ease.
So there wouldn't,
I'm not gonna stick myself.
there wouldn't be a visible decking on top of these offices. You would have sheetrock go all the way to the existing ceiling.
That's
But
right.
inside,
Right,
there would be a void that would go up eventually.
yeah, there would be a 3-foot void between the two. And you know, I mean, it could hold some light duty stuff with a ladder, I mean, but it's a general rule, we don't want a bunch of stuff up there.
And we have a height requirement or a minimum, maximum for employees.
You guys aren't allowed in any of those meetings.
It's just, like I said, it just, you know, the cost was, you know, the cost was, you know, it was starting.
Ask him, man.
Not using cubicles like they do in office space. Let's talk about flexible. You build cubicles with the cubicle walls. Have you thought about that?
We had cubicles in town hall. It was, without any roof or anything, it's pretty unpleasant.
I've worked on a cubicle for many years, it was fine.
Yeah, well, the way the sound, and everything bounces around. I mean, if they want to do cubicles, we'll do cubicles. It's not a problem. But we've had them in the past, and it's the way the sound bounces around in town hall. It's pretty tough. Pretty difficult. I mean, you've been in a lot of meetings where I'm talking to a client or using the copier or anything else, and it's no fun for you, and it's no fun for me either. You know, I don't want to be interrupting people either. But on the other hand, I gotta do the things we gotta do. But yeah, I mean, you want to spend 15 bucks on cubicles, bam. There you go.
Well, I'm with Mike on that one. I couldn't wait to get out of the bullpen and get into my own area where I am now. And it's because of sound and confidentiality or lack thereof. I'm certainly in favor of it, but it seems to me I'd like to know the pricing for the whole thing. If you're going to stud it all the way up and you're going to take out that upper ceiling, why not just finish it? What's the difference? I mean, realistically. Because I didn't understand it the way Sly understood it. I didn't realize you were going to go all the way up to the deck and then just finish it at a later date. I thought you were just going to build a 7-footer and it was going to look like a box within a box.
Oh, it is. I mean, you're both right. It's going to look like a box within a box. He said you might going to see the decking. You're not going to see the decking, but it's still going to be a box within a box. Your vision is you're not missing anything. He's just making sure that the box is finished. So it's a finished box within a finished box.
You got that, Ken?
Okay.
I guess it's a,
He saw Silence of the Lambs, kind of like that.
as our esteemed colleague from Chesterfield has said. If we're gonna go finished on this, I'd like to see what the total price is, because at least we're gaining space upstairs and access to it. You know, so right now, if we're not really gaining anything, maybe partitions are the way to go,
Okay. I will work on some more numbers.
Please.
From a visual, though, we got a lot of different options upstairs. So what would you guys most like to see? When you're looking at, now you got, $100 in a box somewhere. But how much of that space open, because it's gonna be, even finished, it's gonna be a little wonky. There's no way around that. I mean, because we're all visualizing the same thing and we're banging on each other right now, which is great. But you're gonna have a certain amount of space around that second floor that would be open. If that's what you want, or we run an angle from the most reasonable spot from that drop ceiling to create another drop ceiling that goes on an angle. It's still gonna be weird looking. There's no way around that.
Just going up the staircase.
Well, I mean, just looking at that second floor, right? Because we got to remember now, it's 3 feet it's 3 feet from the top of that deck ish to the tiles. So if people are just walking around there, this is what's walking around up there. It's just a bunch of legs moving around, which isn't horrible. But if you want it further out and you want it more aesthetic, it would be good to know. I'm trying to work up the numbers because that does complicate it a bit. What the aesthetic might be, what we would like, and the rest of that. And you don't have to do it now. Just kind of kick that around and get back to the writing in the next couple of days would be great.
I think some degree of the tapered might be a good.
I'm thinking the taper is probably going to be the simplest, cheapest way because I can continue to use drop ceiling technology such as this.
Cutting edge.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
in Edna's office is basically partitioned, but with wallboard, right? I mean, it's
Yeah, if it just goes to the bottom of the
from the
drop
drop
ceiling.
ceiling to the floor.
Yeah, there she is, yeah. But if we're gonna put in stairs, then we're gonna penetrate that ceiling clean.
Can we give some preliminary approval so we can start ordering materials and getting scheduling lined up for at least the first phase?
Yeah, I appreciate the support, but I really like to figure out what I'm doing first before I get too carried away.
Okay.
But then,
So do we.
I'd be interested in a number just on doing partitions from drop ceiling down, like Edna has. Do this space, and then when the time comes, moving the stairwell somewhere else, out of the middle of the room, maybe. Incorporating it.
basically create this shape to the bottom. And then if we do carry it up, we can just carry it up.
Yeah.
Okay, either that or if that's your desire, I could just do a solid wall on top of that. It'd be 6 cents to the end of that, and then it's just, you know, if you had windows, they would be like an eyebrow cape or a post cape, or they would just be lower.
But ideally, I'd like to see a stairwell that goes from the bottom, from the basement all the way up. From there, you know, a fire exit stair, and then have an egress, so it would have to be on the side. So,
Okay, so I am going to look at the bottom of the,
I would say like Edna has,
do like in that.
but for the whole area.
Okay,
And then it might cost more later to cut that down and put your joists or floor on there, that for the upper.
yeah, I mean, I can.
So you wouldn't have the low ceilings initially, you would have the high ceiling
Yeah.
to the drop.
And I can put that in later, just in balloon style.
Yeah.
Ledger it in, not a problem. That's what I'd be doing on the one side.
And you could build your walls to a certain level and then just have a dummy wall above that.
Okay, then that's what I will put together. Number for that. Okay, cool. West Fire Station?
Yeah.
Talk about that at all? Okay. So. You guys ever see the latest plan?
We haven't seen the napkin lately.
Yeah, I hesitate to call this a twin, but,
So do
I've
others.
heard about the napkin.
yeah. It's not getting. We have more of these from this. Yes. We're gonna look at this.
This is the West Fire Station.
Have you? Yes, at one point.
That's got back when you're done. Yeah, so the difference on this plan versus what we're gonna talk to you about in a minute is the big empty room is gonna get a little bit narrower, because when I first did this, it was different than it is now. Configuration back then is different now, so it'll get a little bit smaller. So as you know, we put up our fee, we responded as well. We see the thing that'll make it easier. That wasn't true. And in the last ditch Hail Mary attempt, I reached out to John Kettle. He said, would you be willing to look at this thing for me? And John came out and looked at it and did the Jonah thing, which if you're familiar with this construction at all, is yeah, we can do it. Get me a little bit more plan, I'll get your number and it'll be done in 2 weeks. So I owe him a plan by this weekend. And I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do a little bit of specifying on different things like that, and try to save him some time and energy. He's gonna get us back a number in a couple, 2-3 days, and if we say, yeah, do it, he's gonna come in and do it. Now, what is that? I'm not entirely sure yet. It depends on the numbers and the rest of it. The big goal right now for me would be concrete framing, siding, roofing, windows, doors, the extractor room up and running, everything else roughed in, and maybe not electricity, maybe other than for the equipment, maybe not fully electrified yet, maybe not the insulated or sheetrock or anything like that, but certainly up, certainly dry, certainly ready to finish. And the rest of it, the rough-ins for the bathrooms would be in place because they have to be, because the slab would have to be poured, so they'd have to be in place. And there would be radiant and tubing worked out with Jonah that's gonna actually be pretty cost effective using his plumber. And I'll, shake hands with Penny another time, try to explain how that'll happen, but we're gonna just do this, we're gonna do this with his team. If you're familiar with Kettle Contracting, if you're not familiar, it's more important, if you're not familiar with Kettle Contracting, basically they're a get it done construction company. They've got a full blown network of everything one would ever need. So I'm gonna need a pump truck factory, so that's good. My brother's got one. When your brother owns a pump truck, you got everything. So, the biggest trick with working with Jonah would be is just basically keeping up with them. Effectively, so just making sure that he doesn't get out ahead.
So where is this located? On the rear of the building? Is it next to the ladder bay or?
This is directly behind Ladder Bay.
Okay.
And then
So
this,
furnace is up here, boiler?
that's
room?
correct. That's correct. Yep.
There's no issues getting water to those bathrooms or.
No, I mean,
extractors,
water-
sewer, all that stuff.
No, that's the part. I mean, unfortunately, water is obviously pretty obviously kind of what we need with it. The main thing is the drains. There is a drain that runs behind unit 3 and 4 on the manhole behind 3 and 4 of the township housing, and it kind of runs like this. I think it runs underneath this to some degree on the corner, but it runs like this up to there. So, get the Scott Self over there, make sure we know where it is and the rest of that, but then we can tie into it. We get all this rough and done for all these 2 bathrooms.
Yep.
And then this, because it goes to the outside, we can hit this thing with a little bit of a ramp. Even though our friends at the county don't think they need to be ADA compliant, as long as it's better than that. And we're gonna do our best to get a little closer than they do. And it'll be good. I mean, so, but that's where I am. I'll get that done Friday, get it up to Jonah. I'm sure we'll talk some more over the weekend, hash it out early next week, and then by next Wednesday, I hope to have a number for you. And see what y'all think about that. Because as Jonah said, the is here. And if we're gonna go, we gotta go.
Great.
Good job, Michael.
Yeah.
Michael,
We will see.
do you want this back? Did you say you wanted this back?
Just one of the active in the office. Okay, sorry, gotta bring them up here. I'll take care of it. but-
Get that back, Ken.
Yeah, give it back. You guys let us stay there, I think they can. And then just a real quick, Michael, I talked about maybe just giving you guys a real quick update on some of the other things that are happening around here. The transfer station, we're waiting on Fieldstone, for them to finish up the stormwater management plan for the addition. I'm really grateful for them taking this thing on like they did. They gave us a great number, they gave us a great schedule, and so far so good. So I'm really grateful for that. So we should be able to get that out of bid. Once that's done, I go back to architect, go back to the engineer, double check the drawings, make sure everybody's clear, but that's ready for specifications in bidding. I think after that's done. Richardson Park, I met with Chad again from Fieldstone and Ashley out there a couple of weeks ago, and we looked at Chad's original plan, and I asked him to reconsider how the accessibility was from the parking lot to the bathhouse. I think we could do it a little bit better way. He agreed with the basic outline I gave him. He also had a retention pond there for that project. And the where it was placed, it seemed like it could be placed again and maybe enlarged to help catch some of the runoff of the downslope problem that we have there with all the asphalt and all the rest of that stuff. So I asked him to consider making it big enough that, and this part of the project, we can't afford to do all of it, but I want it to be able to be used for that when we get to that next phase, which would be, a reasonable next phase of that. So he's gone back to the drawing board to look at that. I recognize it was part of the original scope, so you kind of comes some slack there. But hopefully that'll save us some money in the long run. And Carpenter Home, I'm on.
Before we go, are we having any discussion regarding the parking lot at Richardson? Is that included in this?
I'm not doing anything with the parking lot other than taking a few spaces from the septic.
Pretty rough parking lot.
It is a pretty rough parking lot.
Is it something we should consider since we're doing all this other work?
We know a guy.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it would be worth looking at. It's kind of a philosophical thing. I would just pick up the asphalt and be done with it. And just grade it times a year and be done, you know, so get all that impervious surface is it's a real pain to manage and it's expensive. And it seems like we could do something with some modern drainage practices and dirt and save more stuff from going into the lake and make it, you know, make it better, but that would be something to talk to, I could talk to Chad about it. I'll talk to Chad about it, see what he would wanna.
There are any environmental grants out there maybe to get away from asphalt and go to impervious or pervious or?
I think gravel's still technically considered impervious, but yeah, I mean, that's a good question, actually. Not to go on another segue, but I got contacted by someone with DES that does a program basically that looks at landscape architecture as it relates to water bodies. They call it the Soak Up the Rain program. I forwarded to you today. I don't know if you got it, but and they do classes around the state and they heard about Richardson Park and Swansea Lake. And they're talking about using Wickham Hall for the location. So it's something they'd actually be looking at and they look at the site, they use that as their example, and then they provide recommendations and we'd get a couple of free, not free, but they'd comp us a couple registrations in exchange for use of the building. So that kind of ties in, at least from the water management aspect. In terms of paving, I know we had looked at it when we were going by when we did the road, and it was a big number to repave that.
But if it could come out with a pervious surface, all the better.
Yeah, so it would be something worth looking at, just trying to do something kind of, you know, a little bit better than what's there than just throw more blacktop. I think.
Also gonna have a lot of money in that restroom, so be nice if the main entrance looked good going in there, you know.
Oh, there's no question, there's no question. I still see the day when set things in there where that gets, you know, people are gonna wanna be there for fire use and things like that. It's gonna get used.
Yeah,
So
good.
it's what's next. And then governing home. So I'm on the board of directors.
With all your free time.
Yeah.
No, he brings the money. He doesn't have the time.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
a silent back.
So it's been fun. It's been fun. She's doing an amazing job. I would love to have her energy. I met with her the other day. We talked about some of the different things that she wants to do. I'm gonna neaten up my notes and neaten up a plan so they can go through it. A little cleaning with Michael. Maybe eventually you guys will see where we are with the whole thing. I'm not even gonna get any deeper than that. Some pretty minor changes in there as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, I don't think the major changes. And but I gotta know a lot more about what I'm doing before I even want to come in on it. But basically opening up some spaces, things we'd already talked about before. Just get in a few more kids, get some more staff, get some more staff, get some more kids, make it more viable. Her path to nonprofit is great. She's on her way. We all signed the paperwork. She's moving right along. She's going to keep the honeybee holiday. She's just going to spell it a little bit different. And parents are just psyched. So it's fun. It's a fun group of people to be on. It's a board of directors. Right now, it's more of a fan club. I keep explaining to her that someday it's not always going to be this fun. But I'm glad it is for now to break her in on the whole thing and the rest of it. And we can start getting into some of the money things and some of the decisions and the meat and potatoes that the board is going to be a part of in the coming months. And that'll hopefully, I'm sure it's going to go well. But I'm hoping that there's a little more push back and a little more idea sharing and a little more more robust and a little less fanny.
Get her name in at the Wonder Casino.
Yeah.
They do things for nonprofits.
Yeah,
But
their whole thing.
they're 30 months out probably, so
Oh, yeah.
better earlier than later.
Yeah, I'll mention that to her. She's talking about, going up by my place for the pizza and that stuff. So, but it's moving in the right direction. She's got a really nice swing set given to her from just broken down childcare facility in Ware. And like I said, it's just, I hope if you get a chance, reach out to her, go up there and look at it, and we can do something formally. It's really neat to go in there and see the way it is now. It's great to see all the toys. It's great to see all the kids.
One thing at a time. When's a good time? I mean, times that before and after.
Yeah, probably before selectmen's meeting, maybe like at 5 or 5:30 when the kids are heading out, the rest of that stuff, I can show around with it, or as easy as anybody, but it's just gotta just see the little bit of the transformation. I mean, she's settling in, and it's a good thing she didn't do all she wanted to do in the beginning, because she's recognizing now that initially it probably won't work as well as what it could now. So she's got her feet wet enough to know this would be a smarter move here, be a smarter move there. She's got to cook, it's very cool. It's very, very, it's very, very cool. Glad to have your place.
Potash Bowl.
You know what?
Yeah, I appreciate your help last year, I really do, we almost did it. Other than that, I don't know what to tell you, I talked to Any Productions in Lee, and when you get Emmy over here, I asked Any Productions, do you have 300 and 400 CX? They said we do. I said that's great, I got the place for you. So I'm hoping they can get together with Lee and start getting some people in here and start having some more shows.
What is 300 and 400 CX?
Seat acts.
Oh, seat acts.
Yeah, the seat capacity. Because, I didn't know how small they went, and
You don't want to bring Twiddle to the Potash Bowl?
no. But they've got a great thing to all the local acts throughout New in the Northeast. And I introduced them to Lee kind of, and I'm hoping that they can work together, and what are you gonna do, right? You can bring your horse to water, and I don't know what else to tell you. It was a very positive meeting at the whole day. We talked for a couple hours about all the great things that can happen, and we'll see. I don't know what to say.
You said enough.
Okay, thank you.
I think this has been a busy planting season.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is.
Thanks for all the work on this, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of great.
Burn yourself out. Go down to the coast. Relax.
It's got a little sabbatical coming up.
Yep, I'm gonna go to Richmond, help my son.
He didn't know that part when he agreed to go.
I did not, but I would have done it in kids.
Need a trailer? With my daughter to North Carolina, so fit a lot in a 7x12.
It is, yeah. Yeah, he's got a mold problem, so he's, a good lot of what he had, he's not gonna be moving anyway. So. Happens when the sprinklers go up and they don't quite do a good remediation job, and his girlfriend has actually become quite ill because of it. Who's finishing up her doctorate, which is pretty intense. So having to move while you're finishing your doctorate is not fun. I'm assuming.
He was healthy when he got his.
Yeah, that was really, I was like, I'm not doctorate.
I think we could call him Dr. Mike.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
guys.
thank
Thank you for taking the
Code
time.
enforcement was a lot. Code enforcement PhD.
Dario has one.
November meeting schedule.
Yeah, so I didn't list, but don't forget we had the election on the 8th as well, so we'll have our little informal sealing of the slips and whatnot.
You still have a meeting on the 9th or no?
I think so, because when we get to old business, we're a little behind on the budget process, so we either way, I mean, we can. Either way, if you want to alternate, we can. And then the week of the 16th, I was just asking if you might consider either Tuesday or Thursday that week. I'm attending the NHMA conference in Manchester, and usually gets over 4:30, 5 o'clock, so it'd be rather difficult to get back for an evening meeting. I think the hall is available either of those, Tuesday or Thursday.
Which do you prefer?
I guess Tuesday. Is that the one that worked for you, Beverly? I remember one did. and one didn't. You can't do either one, okay.
Okay, so we're gonna do the 15th.
Thursday, we may, planning board maybe trying to get the hall, because the following week is Thanksgiving, and we might have enough business, we want to still do 2 meetings this month.
So you're gonna meet on Thanksgiving.
We may be, so it's check the Sarah on that.
All the more reason to do Tuesday. And then the 23rd, Thanksgiving Eve, please don't meet.
Yeah.
And then we have a fifth Wednesday in November, so wrap up on the 30th.
Okay,
Be a little something extra in your check that month.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't spend it all on one turkey.
Yeah.
budget update.
Between software system, which is going great, but it's just a different process uploading and different, just a little learning curve. So that put us a little behind, and then just recent workflow challenges. So we're still in fine shape. So I'm going to be doing an updated schedule and send that out to department heads. I just wanted you to set your November schedule. So we'll be getting back on track with that. Just wanted to.
Do you have a sense of what CIP is experiencing with the inflationary pressures? It's gonna impact all the departments as well.
Definitely, yeah, there's definitely gonna be some of that. I haven't entered the numbers to be able to tell you like what we're looking at for a total increase at this point, but just between electricity, looking at 40 or 50% increase. Heating fuel, I think that close to double. On-road fuels obviously are up significantly. The health insurance premiums that we talked about last week. So those are just a few off the top of my head factors. So I think it's somewhat different than the CIP stuff, and I think they've been able to get their number down to a lower increase than what they had been looking at before. But it's definitely going to be some pressures on the operating budget as well.
With regard to the normal increase schedule that we have for employees, is that going to have to change? I notice my colleague to my left is going to benefit from the increase substantially for the Social Security increase.
Yeah,
But
so
that's reflective of overall, that's all. That's really why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, so I was actually speaking to a colleague in Ringe today about, what are we looking at? And it's obviously been, significant discussion among, different towns, what they're doing. As you know, we've kind of unofficially, we haven't gone with the Social Security number, but we've used that as kind of a guide. Some years that Social Security might have been 0 and we might have used a 1% inflationary increase. Last year, I think it was 6 or 7 and we did 3. So I don't think we'll probably be looking at I think it was 8.7%. But that is a factor that we've looked at and kind of gone off of. So yeah, I think you can't only use it when it's favorable, right? I mean, you can, but so yeah, that's definitely going to be part of the pressure as well. I think our scale still works because we just adjust it based on that factor, and the first step adjusts based on that and works its way out. So the system still works, but yeah, that'll be a discussion. We usually wait until we have a better idea of how everything else is looking before we decide on that.
Give it hopes and dreams for the fund balance.
See, hopefully we'll have a tax rate to set next week. That's what I'm hoping for. So yeah, we'll have an idea what that's looking at then.
Because I think we want to run as big a fund balance as we can, just in case people can't pay their taxes in December.
Mhm.
And the cash flow.
We built up a decent little nest egg, but yeah, that's a good point.
Anything else? Falls Area Community TV, you've got an update there.
Yep, so Jenna and I met with those two gentlemen, so the gentleman Alex that you met with, and then Josh, who's going to be the station manager in Keene. They came over and scoped out the hall. I know Alex had been here. So they're looking at hopefully mid-November to get up and running with filming with a higher quality than what we've been doing our meetings. And they're also getting involved with the community events. They're going to be at the trunk or treat this weekend to do some, little interviews and a little puff piece. So getting started on both aspects of the community event aspect and then the meetings. So I don't know exactly which meeting they'll start, but they're keying on mid-November.
Right. So progress.
And they're just gonna upload to YouTube or something. They're not gonna have storage, right? As far as our meeting.
Correct. YouTube, they're gonna do Facebook live streaming, a couple things that we haven't been doing, continue the Zoom, and then still live on YouTube and our website. I think also on their website too, but.
Employment opportunity for something.
Oh, yeah, good point. And as they mentioned, when Alex came in, whether it's an employee or just someone in the community that's interested, they'd love to have someone local that's obviously kind of already interested in going to meetings to help with the filming. I think it's $75 a meeting. Flat fee, so Ken. Let Liz know.
Okay,
And 3 meetings a week, then that's
That's-
that's better than beer money. You can have, you can look in places. That's right.
Might pay your electric bill.
$75
at
a
least
meeting.
50% of it.
I think we're gonna need to get a recording secretary because we just lost her.
Up to upper salary.
Yeah.
But if you know anybody or anybody who may be interested in all sincerity, we're gonna be looking for some others, so. It's not a bad little gig, quite frankly.
Could high school kid do it?
I think so.
I was just wondering about the timing, if it, how late can they work? Or is it doesn't matter?
So this would be a subcontract opportunity, they wouldn't be an employee. I think those are, if you're under, like when I worked in a pizza shop when I was under 16, the rules were more
Yeah,
strict.
once you
but
go to 16,
I think it loosens up.
maybe there's some maybe clubs or something at high school. That'd be good experience, so,
Idea.
Looking at it.
sorry.
Make another comment.
Ken.
Our church uses Facebook streaming and Zoom. And the Facebook streaming is much better, superior to what Zoom gives you. If you are at home and trying to log into the service,
Yeah,
it's really good. So.
Cool.
good to know.
Anything else?
Not that I have, no,
Any non-publics?
not that I have.
Anybody else have anything? Charlie?
Everybody in front for three.
Anybody online? Steve or anybody
They,
else?
they fell off during the meeting.
They
so.
departed?
I will adjourn.
Second.
All
Charlie
together?
replaced it.